Okay, it's not good when I start tearing up early in the evening. This evening, our second presentation is to someone who's not a Rainmaker, but should be. He just doesn't know it. Many of you have probably had a chance to visit Smaller Indiana. It is a website, www.smallerindiana.com. It started as a very simple idea, helping creative people find each other. In less than a year, participation on this website has gone from 0 to 4,500 members. An average of 3,000, that's a little stretch, an average of 2,500 people a day visit this site. And they visit this site, initially it was all about Indiana. It was people from Indiana finding each other and talking to each other and exchanging creative ideas and talking about what was going on. Today, people from all over the world are finding out what's happening in Indiana. With a simple website and inviting just a few of his friends, this individual has created a community within the community. And it isn't just about business. It is about personal connections. And that's the other part of being a Rainmaker. Our world is about business. It is about generating referrals and creating opportunities. There's no question about that. But a big part of who we are and what we do is the hospitality and the camaraderie and the relationships. And in this city and in this state in the last year, no one has done a better job of creating those opportunities than my good friend, Mr. Pat Coyle.
Well, I'll tell you what, this room has a lot more energy than the large but not quite as raucous Smaller Indiana get-togethers that we have. We just had one last week or so where we celebrated our 4,000th member joining, and we were kind of late because we already had about 4,400 members by that time. But thank you, Lorraine and Tony, for everything you're doing with Rainmakers. I have to admit that when Smaller Indiana first launched and Rainmakers started a group on Smaller Indiana, I kind of cringed because I didn't know anything about Rainmakers at the time. And my original vision, I kind of said, okay, networking group, right? And my original vision for Smaller Indiana was to try to shine a light on the creative people in the state to help us all realize, sort of get over our inferiority complex, that there's great people here doing great things. Let's find each other and let's show the world, right? And Rainmakers, I didn't know at the time, had the same spirit. Right, and I can see that from the first award winner, and I felt that when I walked in the room. Just a little background, and kind of in keeping with the spirit that I've heard already, from the comments. About 2 years ago, I read a book called Deep Economy by Bill McKibben, and the book is really pretty depressing if you're a business person because it's all about how we've been pursuing growth for the last 150 years in this country, and it's really making us sadder and sadder as a culture. And as a guy who was trying to grow business, I kind of went, what is the point, right? But what he stressed in the book was, perhaps there are some things that we could do to bring our communities closer together, that really that we can grow economies, but they could be deep economies, and they would start here locally and by connecting people. And that, combined with my faith, and John chapter 17 in the Bible, talks about Jesus prays, and he prays that he would be united with the Father, just as that we would all be united together, and that notion of unity. As I reflected on it, I thought, perhaps that's my purpose in business, right? Perhaps the business and the personal purpose are all the same. I reflect on my life, and I think about when I'm most alive is when I'm hosting a party at my home and I'm bringing people and introducing them to each other, where I'm just today somebody lost a job and I'm reaching out trying to connect them with people. So I guess perhaps maybe I am more of a Rainmaker than I realized, right? And so Smaller Indiana came from that same spirit, right? It's that I wanted to be in the business of connecting people. And happily, I had people around me, namely my good friend Doug Carr, who every time I have an idea that needs technology, he comes and enables it. And so built on free technology, ning.com, basically free technology, this site was born with the 50 people that had joined a business book club that I had started a year before, right? So here I was, I'm tired of reading books by myself, so I bought 8 copies of a book and I gave them to people and I said, read this book, let's get together in a month and let's talk about the book. People said, that was really fun, let's do it again. That group grew to 50 people. Those were the first 50 people we invited to Smaller Indiana. Those 50 people became 500 in about 3 months. Those 500 became 4,500 in a year. And I see a lot of smoozers in the room. So thank you very much for recognizing me, but I will say that, you know, Lorraine and Kyle Lacey and lots of Rainmakers have been a big part of the driving force of what Smaller Indiana has already become. If you guys aren't involved in the website and in the community, you know, please do consider joining us. I think one of the things I've learned is that there is a complementary relationship between what Smaller Indiana is basically a platform that can allow groups like Rainmakers to connect even more so than just your monthly meeting. So, you know, we've partnered with arts organizations and we've partnered with business organizations, and we're certainly view Rainmakers as a really, really strong partner. And thank you very much for recognizing me for that.